Hey guys, it's Kevin Kreider, and in this YouTube video, I want to share with you intermittent fasting for weight loss. A lot of times people are going to think of intermittent fasting and you're going to automatically lose body fat and weight. This is somewhat true, especially in the beginning, because you can't eat enough food to fit into that 8-hour feeding window, because intermittent fasting, the one that I'm speaking about, is a 16-8. 16 hours of fasting, 8-hour window to actually eat meals. And it's usually 2 meals in that 8-hour window. And people will lose weight when you do intermittent fasting, but you have to also realize you can do intermittent fasting and bulk at the same time too. So it's all about the calories in versus calories out. And what do I mean by that? Yes, some people will gain fat if they eat 1,500 calories, as opposed to somebody like me. I can eat 3,000 calories in a day and not gain body fat. I've also trained my body to be accustomed to eating more calories over a longer period of time. So I've increased my rate of metabolism, the way my body actually burns calories and fuel. So in a day, I walk a lot, I take the stairs every single time I go up into my workspace. There's about 3 flights of steps. I never take the elevator. Very rarely do I take the elevator, so I'm also burning extra energy that way, so I'm more conscious that way as well. And then with intermittent fasting for weight loss, I would recommend sticking to a 16-8 window. If you can push it up to a warrior style, to a 20-hour fasting window, 4-hour feeding window, feel free, do it. It's also effective too, because then you're squeezing all your meals in one little short period of time, and it's harder to eat that much food in that short period of time unless you're a trained professional eater or you have a binge eating disorder, and then you're able to actually eat all of that. But it's going to come across like a binge because you're eating so much extra food. But somebody who actually really binges, you really know that you're going over your caloric intake, and you're just going into this emotional state of just eating a ton of food and not caring. And then the thought is, well, I'll just burn it off tomorrow. Or the thought is, well, it's not that bad. And the thought is, and it just keeps going down, and then you start really feeling bad about yourself. I know, because I've done it before. Going back to intermittent fasting for weight loss though, you want to do a 16-hour fasting window, 8-hour feeding window. You want to have 2 big meals. And the first meal I recommend is actually smaller. I want it smaller and less filled with carbs, because you want to be able to function for the rest of the day. Too many times we'll knock ourselves into like the parasympathetic nervous system, which is relaxation and digestion, and we're just a little bit like a little bit more tired. For me, I need that extra energy during work days, so I will actually do more lower carbs in the first meal and higher protein, a little bit more fat. So my first meal is a little bit lighter. It's about 1,000 calorie meal. And then the second meal, which is about 4 to 5 hours later, maybe I'll have a piece of fruit, or maybe I'll have a handful of nuts or a couple tablespoons of almond butter. But then the last meal is around the 7th or 8th hour of the feeding window, because don't forget, if you eat at the 8th hour, this is what people forget. When you eat at the 8th hour, you're not done eating. For the average person eats around 20 minutes, 30 minutes. That is cutting into your fasting window. So you technically had an 8.5-hour feeding window. So you want to actually eat a little bit sooner before that 8th hour, because then you'll end up being fasted once you're finished eating, or at least you're going to get towards the fasted state sooner than doing it at the 8th hour, and then you have to wait until you're done eating and then count the fasted window, because that's the #1 mistake that sometimes people make with that feeding window. And then so I'll eat my second meal, which is higher carbs, because now I don't mind going into more relaxed state and not having to think so much, or just getting into relaxation. And it also helps me sleep better, because when you have glucose, it also releases other hormones like dopamine. It also releases your melatonin a little bit more, and you can sleep better when you have a little bit more carbohydrates closer to bed. So that's what I find, at least for myself. So I'll have my bigger meal, which is around 1,500 calories or even 2,000 calories, around 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m. And then I eat if you see me, probably like 10 minutes I eat. And so I can start my fasting around like 7:45, and then I go straight into the next day. So that is intermittent fasting for weight loss. You can follow the same principles if you like. Just also make sure your calories are in proper order, because I can have 3,000, you might only the average human being is only around 15 to 2,000 calories anyway. You're probably very similar to that, so that's what I would stick towards and recommend. And then you can also take one of my courses. It'll give you more exact strategies, tools, calculations for the fat loss as well, and you can find them on my website below. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys soon.